What is it defined inside of the educational context, and what are the implications of it?
Okay, so indoctrination is, in essence, teaching somebody to believe something that they have not critically analyzed or that hasn't been supported by anything. So, for example, if I came up and just told you something about, a specific group of people or a specific type of vehicle, you don't have any reason to believe it if there's no substantiating information, but to discourage you even being able to disprove that, and to just kind of take whatever belief or idea that I have as an actual fact with no critical analysis at all. Now, in the context of education, if we consider that, first of all, you got to consider that education exists in a social context. So there are norms, ideas, and beliefs that the mainstream kind of endorse and push that exist outside of these institutions. And the larger context is also, how that moves is also informed by the agendas of the government. Now, if there are certain norms and ideas and beliefs, values that are pushed by the government is responsible for the Department of Education. The Department of Education shapes what curriculum and what teaching looks like. Then it is not in their benefit to be inclined to shape people to question what the agenda of the social norms are, not generally. So when it comes down to, you think about over the course of the past couple of years, I'm gonna say it's been more than a decade. There's been a decrease in the endorsement of critical thinking, such that people just take information at face value, but they take it like it's the gospel without asking any questions or anything about it. And that has implications for how people show up in a larger social environment. So you have institutional indoctrination, where you have institutions that are set up to endorse in a number of ways certain beliefs, and basically govern themselves in accordance with the idea that because we believe it and there shouldn't be anything to challenge it, it just is. That there shouldn't be any challenge, nothing to challenge it just because we said it is. So that exists not only on individual levels. You think about, we got people who, for example, cultists, and I'm not going to call no names, who have people who just believe what they say because they said it, don't challenge anything. And we have things that also exist on larger systemic levels. You think about it, for example, law enforcement. The ideas about how we deal with different groups of people with the same behaviors based on their demographic variables. So, and there are a number of factors that contribute to why, we show up differently. So when it comes down to the system of education, the goal essentially is not so much to endorse critical thought, because people could think circles around a lot of the people who are public servants right now, but to actually maintain a status quo. Don't challenge it. Don't challenge it. So in terms of what we learn, especially while we're coming through these particular systems, then we learn what it means to be an American citizen. We learn what we are supposed to believe. There are a lot of ideals and values that are supposed to be consistent with what's historically been considered patriotism that we are expected to endorse. The other thing about that is the fact that the United States is a melting pot with a whole bunch of different groups. And we also tend to be inculcated with ideas about the values of the people who belong to these particular groups. We talked earlier about gender roles. A lot of that stuff is blended into that too. And it's not a matter of introducing information to people. That's not the issue. The issue is introducing the information with specific values and attitudes attached to it, and discouraging people from asking any questions or attempting to verify anything, and having the expectation that because I told you, then that's it. That's what you're supposed to do. Take this information and you run with it. So that essentially becomes the problem.